There are lots of things the Kansas City area has to be proud of. Amazing barbecue, two championship sports teams, an impressive cultural scene, and much more. But there is an issue in our community that no one should be proud of: littering. Litter has a prevalent presence throughout the Kansas City metro area that is almost inescapable from view when traveling around town. Maybe you have even grown accustomed to seeing it and don't even really notice the scattered trash anymore. Whether it is something you have become desensitized to or not, litter accumulation is a growing concern for the health of plants, animals, and the environment as a whole, but also for all of us as human beings. In addition to being unpleasant to look at, litter can negatively impact tourism, property values, and entire local communities. It can also be a health concern for the transmission of various diseases to humans. Litter can also block waterways and clog sewer and storm drains like these, which can exacerbate flooding and create breeding areas for mosquitoes and other pests. Not to mention that littering offenders can face a $1,000 fine and possible imprisonment for up to a year. Litter also threatens wildlife with entanglement, ingestion, impaction, and the leaching of potentially toxic materials, all of which can be lethal. Of all the components of litter, plastics may be the most troubling. An estimated 8.8 million tons of plastic waste enters the ocean each year, which is enough trash to measure to the moon and back. Millions of animals are killed each year by coming in contact with plastics in some form, and over 700 different species of mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and invertebrates have been documented ingesting or becoming entangled in plastic debris. These unfortunate encounters can cause injury, ulcers, impaired ability to feed, move, or reproduce, and can even be deadly. Sea turtles are a classic example of how detrimental plastics can be to wildlife. Not only can they get plastic straws stuck in their nostrils, like you may have seen, but their poor eyesight can lead them to confuse a floating plastic bag with one of their natural diet items, jellyfish. Because it can float, when plastic or other buoyant debris makes its way into waterways, it can become a vessel for colonization by various organisms while it travels to different bodies of water, thus creating a potential for the transport of harmful invasive aquatic species to different ecosystems. The Missouri Department of Natural Resources has listed littering and illegal dumping as prevalent problems in the region that are detrimental to the area's water systems and the environment as a whole. The state of Missouri estimates that it spends more than $6 million annually on trash removal from roads and highways alone, with another $1.5 million worth of labor from adopted highway volunteers. In 2018, in the state's waterways, 433 tons of litter were removed utilizing $3.8 million worth of volunteer labor through the state's Missouri Stream Team program. 433 tons? That's more than a blue whale, Boeing 747 jet, and a locomotive engine combined. Litter cleanups are a vital and effective tool in fighting this issue. But think about all the amazing things those resources could support in our community if it didn't have to be spent on cleaning up litter. Now, it may be easy to think about littering and plastic pollution as a bigger issue for people that live closer to the ocean, but we have just as much of a responsibility to the oceans and the environment as a whole here in Kansas City as anybody anywhere. All rivers, no matter how far inland, eventually lead to the ocean. Small rivers and tributaries around Kansas City flow into the Missouri River, which feeds into the Mississippi River, which eventually flows into the Gulf of Mexico and thus connects to the global oceans. No, not every piece of litter improperly disposed of here in Kansas City will end up in the ocean, but every piece has the potential to. And for any piece that doesn't, it poses just as significant of a threat to plants and wildlife here in Missouri. Now, this issue may feel like such an overwhelming problem that there is nothing an individual or small group of people can do to make a difference. To that, I reference the parable of the starfish. If you haven't heard this story before, It is the story of an old man who was walking along a beach that was covered with thousands of starfish that had been washed ashore by the high tide. As he walked, he came upon a young boy who was eagerly throwing the starfish back into the ocean, one by one. Puzzled, the man looked at the boy and asked him what he was doing. Without looking up from his task, the boy simply replied, "I'm saving these starfish, sir." The old man chuckled. "Son, there are 1,000 starfish and only one of you. What difference could you possibly make?" The boy picked up a starfish, gently tossed it back into the water, and turned to the man and said, "I made a difference to that one." Addressing the problem of litter in our community may feel daunting, but I guarantee that every piece of trash that you pick up or prevent from ending up in the environment will make a difference to the individual animal, plant, or water system that won't have to encounter that piece of litter. Like my groundhog friend here, whose burrow has become littered with debris from people tossing trash out of their cars as they drive by. So, how can you be like the boy on the beach? Well, choose not to litter and set a good example for your friends, family, and other community members by disposing of your trash responsibly. If there's not a trash can or recycling bin near you, hold on to your waste until you can properly dispose of it. And make sure your trash and recycling bins at home are securely covered so that the material doesn't get blown away with the wind. You can also participate in crucial litter cleanups. Bridging the Gap Kansas City and the Missouri Stream Team have cleanups throughout the year that you can participate in. Or you can organize your own cleanup in your neighborhood with your teammates, classmates, family, or friends. But perhaps one of the most important things you can do is to reduce your contribution to the waste stream, especially by being conscious of single-use plastics that aren't biodegradable. Use your buying power as a consumer to select items that have the least amount of packaging or that are packaged in environmentally friendly alternatives, and encourage your parents to do so as well. Use reusable water bottles and hot drink cups. Take your canvas shopping bags with you. Skip the plastic straws and utensils, or bring your own reusable ones. And bring your own Tupperware to restaurants for leftovers. Lastly, spread the word. Tell your friends and family what you have learned and encourage others not to litter and to join you in a cleanup. Share with them how all of our actions can help save amazing species like dolphins, sea turtles, whale sharks, sea lions, and of course, all the diverse wildlife here in Kansas City that could be negatively impacted by litter in the environment. So, how are you going to be like the boy on the beach for your community? Comment below with what you have done or what you plan to do. I can't wait to see what you come up with for Kansas City.